best player ever for every NFL team. When you think of your favorite team's history, what player comes to mind? Every franchise has had tons of great players and legendary personalities, but who stands out above the rest? Today, we're going to break down who is the best player to ever play for each individual NFL team.
I put money Barry Sanders on this list.
He has to be.
Because you guys love him too much.
I'd be very shocked if he's not.
From what we saw, he's an amazing player. So.
Yeah.
The Arizona Cardinals, Larry Fitzgerald. No matter how good or not so good Arizona is, Larry Legend has been the consistent cornerstone for the Cards. When you think of Cardinals red and white, Fitzgerald is the first person who comes to mind. Larry has more tackles than dropped passes in his career. This goes to show what type of a receiver he is. Atlanta Falcons, Claude Humphrey. Humphrey is the original Hall of Fame Falcon. He pummeled offenses with 122 career sacks and 8 All-Pro nods. Claude Humphrey is the most underrated pass rusher of all time that unfortunately played on some awful 70s Falcon teams. Baltimore.
So imagine him with a good Falcon team. He could have done a madness. If he was that good on a bad team, like Barry Sanders is similar. He was on a bad team.
More Ravens, Ray Lewis. Ray Lewis is the embodiment of a linebacker, a big, fast, vicious, emotional, and passionate leader. Lewis led the young Ravens franchise to 2 Super Bowls while setting the all-time tackling record.
He looks beastly.
He was forever immortalized as a first-ballot Hall of Famer in 2018. Buffalo Bills, Bruce Smith.
I like that.
Bruce Smith isn't just the only player with 200 sacks. He's also a 10-time All-Pro and a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. Bruce Smith was the defensive leader of the Buffalo Bills in the 90s and the heartbeat of their 4 straight Super Bowl berths.
It's like a real-life Buffalo, just taking out everyone, just sacking them.
Boy.
Yeah, he was taking them out.
Carolina Panthers, Julius Peppers. Peppers was an athletic freak that had 97 sacks in powder blue. He was a brick wall in the run game, as well as being the defensive stalwart for the Panthers team that won their first NFC championship. With unprecedented longevity, Peppers returned to Carolina almost a decade after leaving to finish his career as a Panther. Chicago Bears, Walter Payton. Walter Payton got the nickname Sweetness for good reason. His game was the smoothest the world had ever seen. He glided through defenses on his way to becoming the NFL's all-time leading rusher. Payton was also one of the most versatile players ever, retiring with 8 touchdown passes and more catches than any non-receiver.
Sick.
Cincinnati Bengals, Anthony Munoz. Munoz is the best run-blocking tackle in NFL history. No Anthony Munoz, no Ickey Shuffle. Munoz 9 first-team All-Pros in a row is more than anybody else in history. While the Bengals haven't had much success as other franchises, they have the greatest offensive lineman ever to hang their hats on. Cleveland Browns, Jim Brown.
The Browns got a Brown. It was meant to be.
Brown is arguably the greatest football player ever. In just 10 years, he wrote his name next to every record in the book and is still one of the only 9 players with 100 rushing touchdowns.
Nice.
Cleveland won one of the last NFL championships with Brown as their lead horse. He retired early to enjoy his life after decimating defenses for a decade. Dallas Cowboys, Roger Staubach. There's a lot of choices with Dallas, namely the NFL's all-time leading rusher, Emmitt Smith. But the Cowboys don't become America's team without Captain America himself, Roger Staubach. Quarterback.
He looks like a Captain America, I'm not going to lie.
He's got all the attributes to look like a
He's
Captain
got that
America.
American look.
Yeah, American Patriot.
Yeah.
2 Super Bowls with the star on his helmet. His leadership in the 70s put the boys on the map. And because of that, he's the greatest Cowboy ever. Denver Broncos, John Elway. John Elway's towering stature and rocket arm made him the childhood idol of many. Elway is one of the clutchest players in history, and while it took him nearly his entire career, he brought Denver to their first 2 Super Bowls.
Oh, nice.
Detroit Lions, Barry Sanders.
Oh, here we are.
There we go.
There's
our boy.
Yeah, he's sick, man.
Barry Sanders is the most electrifying player the game has ever seen. He cut on a dime, making the world's best athletes look like grade school kids.
So
In
sick.
just 9 short years, he put himself at the top of multiple records. Green Bay Packers, Brett Favre. With his gunslinging swagger, Brett Favre ended the Packers' 30-year Super Bowl drought, bringing a championship back to Titletown, USA. Many players could be picked for such a successful franchise, but Favre just embodies what it truly means to be a cheesehead. Houston Texans, J.J. Watt. The Texans have had a ton of success and become one of the biggest franchises in no time. A lot of that is because of J.J. Watt's ability to suffocate offenses and take over a game from any position in the front seven. He's the only player to have two 20-plus sack seasons and is a three-time Defensive Player of the Year. Indianapolis Colts, Peyton Manning. No lead was safe with Peyton Manning around. Playing with Peyton was like having a coach on the field with you at all times. He put the Colts in the perfect position every play and hoisted a Lombardi during his time there. Peyton Manning retired, owning nearly every passing record known.
Damn. I love players that have like good accuracy in throwing the ball. It's so satisfying to see a good playmaker. You have to use creativity.
Bill Jaguars, Tony Baselli. It's always great to get it right the first time. The Jaguars' first draft pick in their existence was Tony Baselli, who immediately became an elite offensive lineman. In the second half of the 90s, Baselli was the most dominant blocker in football, moving people against their will every snap. Kansas City Chiefs, Derek Thomas. 7 sacks in one game says enough. Derek Thomas ravaged offenses from the edge with an inimitable blend of speed and power. He played every snap of his career for the Chiefs, notching 126 sacks in 10 years. Tragically, his life and career were cut short in a car accident. Los Angeles Chargers, Junior Seau.
R.I.P.
Seau was the heartbeat of the Bolts. Junior commanded the then San Diego defense for 13 years. In 200 career games as a Charger, Junior Seau registered 1,500 tackles, 47 sacks, and 15 interceptions. He diagnosed the run immediately, stuffing backs before they could even get going.
You know these defensive players that are just like tackling like mad? They're monsters, man. You're literally just training to be a beast.
Yeah. You have to be a tank.
But
you have to be agile on your feet as well at the same time and be able to move quick.
And that as well. And I feel like to add on top of all that, you also need to be quite strategic to know, like, I'm going to run here to intercept that guy who's a danger or a threat. Or, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you kind of have to be strategic in that sense.
You have to think fast as well.
Yeah, man. Because that guy looked like he was thinking fast.
Los Angeles Rams,
LA.
Deacon Jones. Sacks were made official because of Deacon Jones. He even came up with the name Sack. That's the kind of impact he had on the field.
Oh, shit.
It's believed he's the unofficial all-time sack leader, with many people crediting him over 15 to 20 sacks a year, including 3 20-plus sack seasons. The Miami Dolphins, Dan Marino. Marino is the most natural thrower to ever play football. He looked great under the rays of Miami sunshine, throwing bombs and shattering quarterback records. But he was way before his time, with a play style that matched up perfectly with today's NFL. While he never won a Super Bowl, he innovated the game, and his stamp can be seen on television every Sunday. Minnesota Vikings, Alan Page. Alan Page isn't as widely known as other players on this list, but he should be. Page was the leader of the Purple People Eaters and the first defensive NFL MVP ever. Page was unlike any defensive tackle the league had ever seen, combining incredible speed with superhuman strength to devour offenses. The New England Patriots, Tom Brady. Commonly referred to as the greatest of all time, Brady's career accolades could fill up this entire video, so we'll talk about the most important ones. 6 Super Bowls, 2 more than any other quarterback, 4 Super Bowl MVPs, and 3 regular season MVPs. And he's also the league's biggest draft steal ever.
His CV is heavy in the NFL. He's proven himself many times over. Sick guy.
I can imagine if a different team wanted to purchase him, he's not going to come cheap.
Money, boy. Money speaks.
New Orleans Saints, Drew Brees. Drew Brees' unrivaled throwing abilities overshadowed his small stature. Breeze revitalized New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina, bringing the entire Houdat Nation together to win the Saints' first ever Super Bowl. Breeze is also at the top of every passing record book. He plays with so much heart that he's perfect for the state of Louisiana. New York Giants, Lawrence Taylor. There's never been a defensive force like Lawrence Taylor. LT played like his hair was on fire, brutalizing runners and dumping quarterbacks on their head. Taylor changed how defenses were built, with more stand-up rushing linebackers that could drop into coverage and hold the edge. He's one of the only 2 defensive players who have ever won an MVP award, and is considered by most the greatest defensive player of all time.
Damn, look at him.
New York Jets, Don Maynard. Don Maynard was the first player ever to sign with the New York Jets. Maynard's abilities as a receiver dominated in 3 different leagues. Maynard was a huge key in the biggest upset in NFL history as well, Super Bowl III. Don Maynard went from being an NFL reject to an all-time elite pass catcher. Las Vegas Raiders, Gene Upshaw. Upshaw is the only player to play in the Super Bowl in 3 different decades for the same team. Gene Upshaw is the best representation of the silver and black there is. The Raiders guard played a part in some of the game's most iconic plays, including the Holy Roller and the Immaculate Reception. His nickname was Highway 63 because runners who followed him could get wherever they wanted to go.
That's sick.
Philadelphia Eagles, Reggie White. The Minister of Defense is the greatest defensive lineman to ever live. His patented hump pass rush move sent blockers flying, as he crushed quarterbacks an insane 198 times in his career.
Damn.
He was also a phenomenal leader and one of the most beloved people in football history. Pittsburgh Steelers, Joe Green. Anybody nicknamed Mean Joe Green?
He looks mean, I can't lie. He looks like he's about to do some damage over here. He looks raw.
Don't mess with him, man.
Let's see what he's about.
Had to have a nasty streak to him. Green was the most feared player on the most feared team of all time.
There we go.
The 1970s Pittsburgh Steelers. He tore through the line of scrimmage and tossed runners to the ground by any means necessary.
Damn.
San Francisco 49ers, Jerry Rice. Many NFL players say that Jerry Rice is the best football player ever. All Rice did was break nearly every all-time receiving record, setting marks that will most likely never be broken again. And with the Niners, he won 3 Super Bowls with 2 different quarterbacks, making critics that said he wasn't big enough or fast enough eat their words.
Loads of critics. I feel like there's a lot of players who had a lot of people criticizing their potential, and then they end up being the best. Saying, he's too small, he'll never make it, like Barry Sanders. There's another guy we watched as well. They were saying he's not fast enough and big enough, and he ended up being one of the best players in history.
That's the thing, you can never judge someone when they're, young and they're still training. Anything can happen.
Yeah, it's true. Anything can happen.
Look at Barry Sanders, like you said.
And a lot of people...
He wasn't tall like his brothers.
Yeah.
He wasn't strong like his brothers. He was tiny. He looked a bit frail.
Compared to them.
Yeah, but now look at him. He was like... Everyone loves him.
Yeah.
It's great. He was carrying his whole team.
He was, yeah.
Yeah.
Seattle Seahawks, Steve Largent. Cut by the Oilers as a rookie, the Seahawks picked Largent up off the streets. Steve Largent gave them a return on investment like we've never seen before.
Jeez.
His perfect route running and soft hands helped him retire the all-time leader in receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Derek Brooks. While we could have gone Warren Sapp, linebacker Derek Brooks was the leader during Tampa Bay's heyday. He possessed insane speed for his size, tracking down ball carriers from sideline to sideline. Brooks was a certified playmaker that was as good in coverage as he was against the run. Tennessee Titans, Bruce Matthews. Matthews is the epitome of consistency and versatility. Bruce started a game at every offensive line position and never missed a start in his 293-game career. He was selected to 9 All-Pro teams and spawned the legacy of Matthews' family in the NFL. Washington football team, Sammy Baugh. The oldest member of this prestigious list, Slingin' Sammy Baugh might as well be called Mr. Football. He led the league in completion percentage 8 times in his career as its pioneer passer. Oh, and did we also mention he picked off 31 passes as a safety as well? So, there you guys have it.
That was a very very detailed list, shall we say, with a lot of, from the looks of it, amazing players in every team. Now, my question to you guys watching, out of all those players that were listed, if you had to pick one player, obviously I understand there might be some bias because you're going to probably pick the team you support, but try to take that out. Who is genuinely the best player on that list? Comment below.
Barry.
That's your one. I don't know. Barry Saunders is amazing, but it seems like there's some competition.
I think Barry, because we watched his documentary and we saw his struggle and we saw his rise to be where he is today, you know. I think that's why I'm siding with him. But I think if I was to watch the documentary of other players,
how far they came,
I'll have more of an open mind towards it.
True. Yeah. Comment below, guys, who is the best player on that list?
Someone that might not be on the list as well.
Oh yeah, is there anyone that
you probably missed someone out?
Is there someone that's been missed out on that list that's like better than all of them? Comment below. So guys, thanks so much for recommending the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. For now, peace out.
Bye.